I'm Paul Woodhead and I've got the great privilege to lead the Chase Community Independence Group. We've got fantastic candidates all the way across Cannock Chase and we'd like to hear a little bit from them now.
Hi, I'm Jodie Ashford and I'm standing for District Council in Heathhays East and Wimbledon. I want to be a voice for our community, free to speak up without national politics getting in the way. I believe that community and council need to be able to communicate and work together to prioritise local issues. Our councillors should represent us, the Chase community.
Hello, my name's Paul Dadge and I'm the district candidate for Hawks Green and the county council candidate for Hensford and Rawnsley. When we've had issues locally, whether it be the coronavirus pandemic, potholes or issues up at the tip, you'll know that I'm there to challenge them. Please consider voting for me this Thursday.
I'm Sarah Finlay. I'm standing for the District Council in Cannock South, which includes the village of Bridgetown and also Cannock Town Centre. If elected in May, you have my promise that Longford, Rumour Hill, Bridgetown and Cannock will cease to be treated as a poor relative. I feel our areas are slipping behind. For example, Hensford has great park facilities, a monthly farmers market and a real community feel. I want to see this replicated for the areas that I'm standing for.
I'm Emma Honeyball and I love being one of your town councillors. I really enjoy talking to neighbours and residents, understanding the things that are really important to you and then working with colleagues in the council chamber to act on those priorities for the benefit of our town. I'm standing to be your county council candidate because I want to bring the same community focus, energy and independent thinking to the county council chamber on your behalf.
I'm Andrea Layton and since becoming a district councillor I've seen how important it is to listen to residents and reflect their views in the council. I'd love to become your county councillor for Cannock Villages and if I do I'll be ensuring that we protect the green spaces like this one, fix our roads and get the investment we deserve.
Hello, my name is Brendan McEwen and I am standing as a Chase Independent candidate in the Staffordshire County Council elections for the Trent Valley Division. If elected, I will represent the people of the area from Hopton to Brockton and from all the parishes, communities and villages in between to the best of my ability. Voting for me, Brendan McEwen, on May the 6th, and let's make a start on reclaiming and improving our local public services for the benefit of our local communities.
Hi, I'm Darryl Moore. I've lived in the Hensford North Ward for the last 20 years with my family. We love living here. Whether you live at the top, middle or bottom of the hill, I need your vote on May the 6th.
Hi, my name's Ian Pike and I'm standing as your town and district candidate for Hagley Ward because I believe it's about time an independent councillor, free from the shackle of national politics, represented our great town.
Hi, I'm Paul Woodhead and over the last 5 years I've had the great privilege to represent the people of Hensford South. During that time, we've done lots of work together, whether that's litter picks or organising festivals, regenerating the town centre. But that's just the start. Please support me again in these coming elections. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Emma from the Chase Indies and welcome to our pre-election live event. Tomorrow is Independence Day and today is the prequel. Now, this is your chance to meet your candidates and to ask them the questions, the things that are on your mind, talk about the issues that really matter to you before you cast your vote tomorrow. Now, if you've got a question, the best way to get it to us is to drop it in the comments section below. We'll be monitoring it as we go through the evening and we will do our best to answer as many as we can. So before we kick off, let's introduce all of our candidates to you. We're going to go clockwise on my screen and we're going to start at the top left with Mr. Dadge.
Great. Hi, my name's Paul Dadge and I'm pressing the button. So if I'm looking in the different direction, that's why. I'm a district candidate for the district of Hawks Green and I'm a county candidate for Hensford and Rawnsley. And I think that's probably it. I'm busy trying to mute people and pushing things around. So for once, I have very little to say. Over to you, Emma. Oh, shall I choose somebody else? Can I nominate who goes next?
No, because that would be chaotic, Paul, and we won't know whether we've missed anybody. Leave it to me,
sorry.
please. So let's go to Andrea next.
Thank you for taking control of that, Emma. I'm Andrea Layton and I'm District Councillor for Cannock North, and I'm County Candidate for Cannock Villages, which is that covers Heath Hayes and Norton Keynes, for anybody that doesn't know.
Thank you. Sarah.
Hello, I'm Sarah Findlay. I am District Candidate for Cannock South, and that covers Longford, Bridgetown and Rumour Hill, and I am County Candidate for Cannock Town.
Thank you. Daryl.
Hi, I'm Daryl Moore. I'm the candidate for Hensford North, which covers the Great Big Hill and everybody that lives on it, and the town centre and Rawnsley Road area.
Thank you. Sharon.
I am Sharon Jagger. I'm an independent town councillor in Hensford Town Council, and I'm standing for District Council for Cannock West.
Thank you. Brendan.
Hello, hi, I'm Brendan McKeown. I'm a Borough Councillor at Stafford Borough Council, and I'm representing the Chase Community Independent Group for the Trent Valley Division, and hope to disturb a few feathers.
Like that. Jodie.
Hi, I'm Jodie Ashford and I'm District Candidate in Heath Hayes, East and Wimbledon.
Thank you. Mr. Woodhead.
I love how you give everybody the first name and I'm Mr. That gives me a real sense of superiority. Thank you very much for that, Emma. Paul Woodhead, I'm councillor for Hensford South, which is a different hill in Hensford, not the bit that Daryl's looking to do. I've had the great privilege to represent Hensford South for the last 5 years, and hope to do so for the next 3 years with your support. I'm also a town councillor on Hensford Town Council. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you. Note to self, do not give Paul ideas above his station. Ian.
Hi, my name's Ian Pike. I'm standing in Hagley Ward in Rugeley for District and also for Rugeley Town Council.
And Stu.
Take it you mean me. Hello, I'm Stuart Crabtree. I'm a district councillor for Hensford South. I'm not a candidate this time though, but hello.
Hello, you are a crucial part of our campaign. Thank you. Oh, and last but not least, there's me as well. I'm Emma Honeyball. I am a serving town councillor in the beautiful town of Hensford, and I am standing for the county division of Hensford and Rawnsley. And that is all of our candidates, which is fantastic. Given we launched less than a year ago, look at this fantastic team of people that we've got heading into the elections tomorrow. It's so exciting. So just a reminder that if you want to ask us a question, to drop it into the comments below. I can see a couple of people are asking questions already, which is fantastic. And that can be anything from a position on things like potholes and dog poo to how many steps did Paul Woodhead walk during the course of this election campaign. I'm sure he's got that written down somewhere and we'll find it out during the course of the evening. So before we go to your questions, it'd just be really interesting because this has been a campaign like no other. We've had COVID and a number of us are new to the whole idea of campaigning, just to get a couple of reflections about how it's gone. I'm going to come to you first, Daryl, because I know that you've been Paul's right-hand man in some of this. What have been your thoughts?
I'm not sure if I am Paul's right-hand man, but we talk about the campaign a lot. What has been different is that we decided early on that we weren't going to knock on people's doors because of the COVID situation. and it has meant that the message that we want to put across has gone on quite a bit of literature that has come through everybody's doors, as you've probably seen if you're in one of the areas where we have a candidate. We have done things a little bit differently. If you've seen our literature compared to the other parties, we have made sure that we don't attack any of the other parties, and we just kind of give the facts as we see them and what we hope to do in the area. Our main points, of course, is putting people first, and having the people on our local council who are not members of national parties. We have had a very tiring election. I think we're all glad that we don't have to be trudging the streets, although there's going to be a bit happening tomorrow. But there's a few of us, as you can probably see, that have got very good suntans over the last few weeks, and it has been enjoyable meeting people on the streets and them asking us what we do and what we stand for. Thanks, Emma.
Thanks, Daryl. Paul Woodhead is our campaign manager. What have been your reflections? What have been the highs of our campaign so far?
I think just to pick up a bit of what Daryl has just been saying, it has been a different campaign, and we did take the decision early on that we didn't feel it was safe to be knocking doors. We don't know people's circumstances behind those doors, so it has been a literature strong campaign, but it's also been a strong campaign online. This is something that's been new to the district, I think, this year, and has evolved probably since the Brexit vote in 2016. But we've been very positive about the engagement on there. I think, as you said earlier on, Emma, we only came together in June. Our Facebook page is nearly 7,000 likes, nearly 9,000 followers. Most of those are local to us. So that, combined with a literature campaign, it does mean that we have all put a lot of miles into our legs. I do have a number of what my app tells me I've done in the last 30 days. I think, I don't, do we want to run that as a competition? Can you guess how many steps I've done in the last 30 days from what it says on my phone beside me here? So I'll maybe tell you all that at the end of it, but it has been a lot of walking, not just by me, by everybody here, and a lot of our supporters who are not candidates as well. We were very grateful for the support of not just friends and relatives, but wider community coming on board and helping with those deliveries and getting our message out. We hopefully kept it as a positive message. It's all about where we are looking to help going forward, and that will be something that retains as the way that we want to operate. It is about independence. We do then have a challenge between us as independents, because we all have different views on things, and that needs some degree of conversation and communication to build that forward. But I think really it's been a really positive campaign. It's nice to see other people out there as well from the other parties. I'm starting to ramble because I think Emma's
internet access, I think she's still on some kind of 56k modem, and she manages like 2 minutes online and then disappears. When we do Chase TV, we never have these problems, but we always do when we're on Zoom. Are you there in Hensford?
I am here. I'm really sorry about that. I swear I'm saving up for a new computer. I'm almost there. But I'm sure that you barely noticed my absence, and Paul Dadge had many relevant things to say. So let's move on towards the Q&A. And we talked earlier about giving people ideas of their station, and you guys out there have to work with me on this, because somebody who I'm going to name and shame, Paul Granger, has said Paul Dadge for Prime Minister. That's not the kind of thing that we need right now. We don't need Paul Dadge getting ideas above his station. But thank you for the comment anyway. I just want to pick up on a question that we had via email from a resident, and it's about the ever-present ever-present menace, really, of potholes. So if I can kind of share this resident's frustration with everybody. So recently all our lanes have been resurfaced using a method which works well on roads which are in good repair. The operatives did their best and a few parts did look good, but no attempt was made to fill the potholes in before doing the work, and these are breaking down the new surface as they enlarged. What are the views of some of our county candidates on how our roads are managed and maintained? I'm going to throw that to Brendan.
Okay, thanks, Emma. Well, clearly, maintenance is the most important thing. You know, if you wait till something is broken before you try to repair it, it's going to cost you a lot more money. And what's been happening over many, many years is that our roads have not been maintained to anywhere near the level they should have been maintained at. I won't go on to the reasons why that is, apart from the fact that the current contractor responsible for the outsourcing by Staffordshire County Council to, let's say, a company called Amy, has been totally useless in delivering the contract. And when they are asked to repair things, they charge astronomical prices. And I rest my case on that one.
So thank you for that, Brendan. I think it's clear where you stand. I know that Paul Dadge has done some research on potholes. It's something that he feels really strongly about. Paul, can you share any of your early findings?
I'm quite passionate about the pothole situation because it's something that we all see all day, every day, you know, when we're out and about. And I've had multiple punches from them. And here's some facts for you. So currently outstanding within the Cannock Chase district, so we're talking Rugeley over to Bridgetown, Norton Keynes, Rawnsley, Hensford, Cannock, Longford. We've got 817 potholes that have been reported that are outstanding for repair. So that's 817 potholes that the council are aware of, that Staffordshire County Council, because they're the responsible body through highways, that are waiting for repair. And in the last year, there was about 2,500 repairs or patches done on potholes within the district. So if we've only managed to complete 2,500 potholes in a year, how long is it going to take us to clear that backlog of 817 potholes? That's point one. So we've gone back to them and we've said to the county, can we have a breakdown of when these potholes were reported and where these potholes are? And they've come back to us, I think today or yesterday. I can't take the credit for this. Ian Pike is our FOI expert, and he's the one who kind of puts everything in for it. But they've come back and said, oh, we can't give you that information because it's too difficult to extract it from the system. So if it's so difficult to extract that information from the system, how can they possibly quantify what's left to do, what's within target time? And it basically just opens up this myriad of 101 other questions that we have with regards to potholes. And the last bit I wanted to really add on this was that in 2019, the maintenance plan for potholes changed, and it was all around stopping the county council paying the liability. So when you were to hit a pothole previous to 2019, usually the council would pay out for that. Whereas now they're saying, well, we inspected that 6 months ago, a month ago, annually, and it was okay then. So as long as we've done that, then we aren't responsible for that damage. And I know that Brendan especially has seen quite a lot of people over in Hickson have said, we've tried to claim for these potholes. We've had really serious damage done to our cars, and the liability lawyers for the council have come back and said we're not dealing with it. So potholes is a big issue, and I know it's, if we're to be elected, it's something that we need to understand. But it's important, I think, that if there are issues in terms of pothole, whether it be funding, resource, or anything else, that we do communicate that back out to the public to say, this is the pothole situation and this is why it's happening, because at the moment we don't have the answers to the questions.
Do you want me to add a little bit more to that?
Go for it.
Okay, well, my reasoning is that the outsourcing of highway maintenance to a profit-driven multinational, Amy, has been why we have the consequences of what we have now. Because Amy UK is based in Oxfordshire, Amy is a multinational company based in Switzerland. So you think about the £1,000 of your council tax that you give. So many percent of that is going to go to Amy profit in Stafford, then in Oxford, and then in Switzerland. How much is left then to actually deliver the repairs on the ground and the improvements? That is what we need to investigate at county council level.
I think what we've, I think really listening to the conversation, the way I feel about this is potholes is one of the big talking points of a county council, and the approach that we've taken, we've gone to the effort to really try and understand the reasons behind the problem. So what we're not trying to give here is a soundbite about we'll fix all the potholes, or we'll sort this out. We've taken the time to understand what the challenges are and where there are things that potentially could be challenged or could be done differently, and that we'd like the opportunity to take that and go into a council chamber with our facts and our evidence base and challenge based on what we know and based on your feedback. And I think that's one of the central principles of the way we operate, is that we work from facts and we work from an evidence base, and we communicate with you. And I think this is a really good example of where we can make a difference. Okay, let's move on. So the next question, I want to talk about parks, because we've had feedback from residents that pretty much every campaign leaflet they've seen in this election has mentioned on a district level about parks and open spaces. What would you, and that's a collective you district candidates, like to see for our parks over the next few years? Who'd like to kick us off on that one? Andrea.
Sorry, I didn't get my hand up quick enough there. I think all of us have got lots of ideas about parks, and it's not really just the play equipment, is it? I mean, the main thing, the first thing that I would like to see is the parks painted and a regular maintenance plan across the district for all of the parks, so that we can see that it's not residents having to go out and paint the parks, they're actually looked after and maintained, and we haven't got things like cable ties keeping parts of play equipment together, that kind of thing. We want to see a high standard of play equipment, and we've actually supported for extra money to go into the budget this year for, it's not a huge amount of money, but some extra money to go into doing that this year. And so we're actively looking at our parks in our wards at the moment to see where that money is best spent. But I know that I think Sarah's she's got some things that she'd probably like to say about parks as well.
Hi. Yeah, I think a lot of our green urban areas seem to have been neglected and forgotten about. Everybody focuses on the chase when they think of greenery and places to go for recreation around Cannock. But a lot of our residents don't have access to the chase. It may be on our doorstep, but it's got no public transport links. So unless you drive, you can't get there. So our urban parks are a lot of people's number one places to go. So Andrew's already mentioned about improving the play equipment, but I also wanted to look at increasing the biodiversity in our parks. And then there's lots of seemingly cheap or free easy wins that we could do for that. Simple things like reviewing the mowing regime, leaving a metre or so around the edges of your parks to encourage more wildflowers to grow through. That in turn will increase your insects, your birds, your small mammals, and will also provide a wildlife corridor between our gardens. Also, other things we could do is rethink the planting of the planters in the towns and the parks. Not necessarily spend any more money on them, just review what we put in there, make sure everything's pollinator friendly. And we maybe see if we can get the community more involved in the planters, maybe in the town centre, every school in the local area takes ownership of one of the planters. It could maybe, or your scout groups or your brownie groups could each have one. You could also have an annual theme or maybe run competitions, encourage the kids to get involved in their town centre, and then hopefully later on grow up, they'll have more respect for their town centre because they'll feel more of an attachment to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Jodie, you've got your hand up. You're on mute, Jodie.
Hello. I just wanted to quickly add, like Sarah was just saying, I think that community involvement is really important in making our parks and green spaces the best that they can be. So what I want to see is the council supporting and continuing to support our community groups like Clean Up Cannock, Friends of Hensford Park, the Green Team at St John's Church, all of these amazing community groups, with all of the work that they're already doing for our parks and green spaces. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you, Jodie. And Ian, how about you?
Yeah, Andrew mentioned earlier on about having maintenance plans for parks, and a lot of people will probably be aware that we've got green flag parks in this area, and those parks do have to have a maintenance plan. What a lot of people maybe don't realise is it actually costs the council money to get a green flag award. So we did a Freedom of Information request on what it's cost the council over the past 3 years. And 2019, it was £2,072, 2020 was the same, and 2021, £2,084. When you look at it, Cannock Park has been a green flag park since 2008, Elmore Park since 2010, Castle Ring since 2019, Ravenhill since 2010, Starcop Cemetery since 2015, and Hensford Park since 2017. So that's a fair bit of money being paid out just to get a certificate for a park, essentially. What I would like to see is maybe that money not spent in effectively getting a certificate, but putting that money towards the maintenance of the other park and running the maintenance along the lines of what is expected to achieve green flag status. If that makes sense.
It does. Apologies, I was just coughing off screen. Thank you. I think it's good to hear on an issue that's important to the local people, that so many of our candidates have considered it really deeply. There's a really good question on Facebook that I want to come to in a minute, but before we do that, I just want to talk to Jodie really briefly about voting. So Jodie is our youngest candidate, and she's from the demographic of people who are least likely to vote in an election. And we know that local elections tend to have a lower turnout than a general election. So Jodie, from your point of view, a resident has said that there's no real point in voting in this election. The vote won't mean anything, it won't count. What would you say to somebody like that?
Yeah, that's a really difficult question, but I think in all elections, but especially this one, because the turnout is so low, voting is really important because it's your chance to stand up for the issues that you really care about and to inform the councillors of your needs and priorities. And you can do that by voting for the candidates who you think best represent your views. And when people say things like, will my vote really make a difference? I personally really do believe that every vote counts, whether or not your candidate wins. Either way, you're telling the winner what issues are important to you and what they need to focus on in the future to win your vote. But you're also telling the candidate that you vote for that there is a demand for their policies in your area. So yeah, get out there and vote. And it's always important to vote, regardless of whether you think your candidate's going to win or not.
And that's a really powerful message, Jodie. Thank you. And if more people did get out, and if more of the younger demographic came out, some election results would be completely different. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens tomorrow. Now, there's a question on Facebook from Gary Vegas, looking at if we perform really well in the election, what does that mean for the balance of power on the council? So I want to bring in our resident council geek, Paul Woodhead, just to talk about, because there's a couple of parts to that question. So just to take this part first, to talk about where is the council at the moment in terms of balance of power, and very briefly, what could be the outcome tomorrow?
Thanks, Emma. I'll talk mostly about the district, but also the county, because it'll have an impact. We've got both elections there. At the district, the Labour group, who currently have 17 councillors, operate as a minority administration. So they have the cabinet, they come forward with recommendations to the council, but because they don't have an absolute majority, they have to negotiate aspects of decision making with the other parties in the council chamber, including ourselves. So Labour this time have a number of seats that are up for re-election. So they essentially have the biggest number to lose and the fewest they can gain. So the balance of power could move anywhere. You need 21 councillors to have a majority. It's very unlikely any group will get to 21 in this election. To do that, people would need to be winning in places they wouldn't normally win. But this is an unusual election, and unusual things happen. So it's likely that there will be some kind of power sharing, cooperative work, confidence and supply, the whole range of ways that can work, negotiated between what's likely to be 4 groups on the council. So the Labour and Conservative, ourselves, we operate with the single Green Party member as part of our group on the council, and the Liberal Democrats. So it's very difficult to say what it's going to be, but it's likely to change from where it is at the moment. County is slightly different because the Conservatives have a high number. I think they've got 52 out of the 62 seats currently. So it's likely they will reduce that number down, but it's still likely they will have more than the 32 they need to retain control. So it's likely that it will continue as a Conservative council, but the opposition will likely increase. And we have a number of county councillors candidates here, and we hope to be a significant part of that opposition and holding that administration to account. Whereas at district, we might be in a position to be some kind of power sharing arrangement, or otherwise we've got to decide, we've got to have those conversations. And at the district, that's unlikely to change for the years to come. It's more likely that there's going to be a number of groups that need to work together, and that is unusual in the council here. Was that brief enough?
Yeah. Thank you, Paul. And actually, you touched on the second part of Gary's question there, because Gary recalls that previously power sharing / coalitions in Cannock haven't ended particularly well. Have you got any reflections on what lessons would need to be learned this time? And then secondly, you mentioned about the county council potentially losing, well, the Conservatives still retaining control. If we have a particularly good election, there are more independent voices. What difference does that make if the Conservatives still have the administration?
Okay, reflections on certainly at a district level, there are lessons to be learned. There's also about looking outward, because there are a great number of examples around the country where councillors from different parties work cooperatively together. And whether that's in Malvern Hills or Cornwall or Herefordshire, there are a number of examples where that does work and it works well. Our ideal outcome would be to change the structure of the council internally so that it becomes a committee structure. So all councillors are involved in all the decision making. That way, you've got to cooperate, you've got to listen, you've got to talk about what the issues are and not rely on the 9 cabinet members to whip their members, their broader group, into agreement. So our ideal solution is to negotiate that kind of change, whether that's after this election or in a future one, and we'll see how that goes. In terms of the county, if we have a more cohesive and challenging opposition, then some of the issues, you were talking about potholes earlier and the decision making around appointing Amy as a contractor. There are a number of things like that, and whether that's the right decision or not, that's part of the administration's job, is to make those decisions. But what they need to do is to be held to account. Now, if you operate as a large party in a single state environment, like it is at the county council, then you're asking your own people to mark your own homework. And that never best value. And there is some research out there by the Electoral Reform Commission, I think it was, which showed that where you have a significant opposition, you end up getting better value for the taxpayers, because they've got to answer those questions. And the more independent voices there are, the less the impact of the parties have. But they also need to cooperate together. You can't just say, oh, I'm an independent, I'm going to raise this point. There's got to be that conversation and that dialogue between those that are holding the administration to account as well. So some of the lessons at the district also need to be learned at the county.
Thank you. Feedback from Gary that you've given a really good answer, so thank you for answering that question.
Thank you.
There's also been some real appreciation on the Facebook feed for Jodie. I think you're seen as a bit of a fresh breath of fresh air. People saying that we need more Jodies in politics, and I think we can all agree with that. It's fantastic. What I would like to do now is we've had a lot of feedback that there are places in Cannock district that feel that they are the poor relation, or that they're forgotten somehow. Particularly, we hear this from people in Rugeley, people in Bridgetown. They feel that they're not treated at the same level as other towns or parts of the district. So I guess I'm looking really here at Ian and Sarah. What can be done to change that perception?
It is something that you do hear a lot in Rugeley, and whether the perception is correct, I sometimes wonder, is it a case of money's not spent on Rugeley, or money's not spent on the things that we want it to be spent on in Rugeley? And I think that's where a party like us come in involving more with the community, to find out exactly what they do want. The other issue as well is obviously that money is spent within the town, but are the residents told what it is actually being spent on? You have sometimes you'll have major developments in this town. Like many years ago in Rugeley, we had the new Tesco built, and from that, the council gets money to spend in the area. One of the things that we've done, again, freedom of information request, to try and find out where this money has been spent. And I think it would help people in the town better understand where the money goes if council were more open with them in saying where the money is actually being spent. Maybe it's not a case of it isn't being spent on, we just don't know what it's being spent on. And do we want it to be spent on that? And that's where a party like ours, which engages with the community, can probably find out more information and put the residents more at ease that Cannock District Council do actually care for the town.
It's interesting. That's a bit of a recurring theme about communication, and often it's about just letting people know what's going on and giving them the chance to input. Brendan, you've got your hand.
Thanks, Emma. I've been banging on for many a long year now about how Section 106 money, so-called, I'm not going to get into what Section 106 money is, but essentially money is given from a developer to the local authority to spend in the area where development has occurred. And almost in 95% of cases, the money is not used in the correct way that it should be used. And I'm having a big battle at Stafford Borough Council at this present time, and I'm fairly sure that at Cannock and Rugeley and all places in between, the same situation is happening, where development is occurring, houses are being built, and as Ian said, Tesco built in Rugeley. The Section 106 money is not tracked from where it was generated from to where it's actually been spent on. And I think people really should know that development comes with a cost, but it can come with a benefit, but the benefits are not being delivered.
Brendan. Sarah, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to echo Ian and Brendan really. Probably find out that most places are suffering from a lack of funding. Just unfortunately, that seems how everything is at the moment. But a lot of people that I've spoken to, I've heard from Bridgefield, like Bridgetown, for example, feel they're not being listened to. So the money that is being spent isn't necessarily being spent on what they feel is important for their village. And like I said, the money may be being spent elsewhere, but residents aren't being told what it's being spent on. And I just think if it was clearer for residents to say, okay, we've had this X amount of money and we spent it on this, 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 and this, so they could clearly see what those funds have been spent on, I think people would be a lot happier, because at the moment it just feels like nothing's being spent. They've got nothing to show for it. So yeah, I think a bit more clarity on where the money's been spending would make people a lot happier.
Thank you. Ian.
Yeah, just echoing what Brendan says about tracking where the Section 106 money goes. I mean, people shouldn't have to do a Freedom of Information request to find out where the money's being spent. They should be told up front.
Absolutely. Hit the nail on the head there. And Ian, a bit of feedback for you on Facebook. And Mandy says that you're the only candidate in Rugeley who has spoken about outdoor spaces on your leaflet. And Mandy, I know, is really passionate about outdoor spaces and the environment. So some really good feedback for you there.
Thank you.
So what I'd like to do now, and actually just on that thread as well, an interesting consideration is Chris Harbour says that an interesting point is that in Chadsmore and Chadsmore West, they're an unparished area, so they don't have a parish council in the way that Hensford do, Rugeley, Bridgetown, and that actually the parish or town council had something, and an unparished area really misses out. And it obviously I'm part of Hensford Town Council, and you know, we get involved in some amazing initiatives. So it's interesting to hear that kind of lack of love felt by an unparished area. Mr. Woodhead would like to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with your point on that Chris is raising here around parished and unparished areas. There are a number of unparished areas, and as we are seeing, I'm going to speak up for Hensford here, because I'm really proud of what we are doing and the change that we've made since independence. And some of us are a part of a Chase community independence, others are not, are part of the town council. And it's it's helping connect the community to the decisions that are being made, which is all picked up with the points that Brendan and Ian and Sarah were making around areas that are forgotten. It's about communication, and it's about how you connect the council decisions, the councillors and the community together. Now, there's no reason that you can't look to parish those areas that are unparished. It's a referendum of the people that you want to do that in that area. But I think you need to demonstrate the benefits of that and showcase where they are. And the work that we're doing in Hensford, I think, is a very good example of that. Each of the parishes and towns in the area are doing really good stuff as well, from what I can see from the outside, but I could probably speak with more authority from the inside of Hensford. And we see that benefit elsewhere around the country as well. And I often use Frome as a good example of how connected it is and how much a town or parish council can do. But the same principles apply at a district or county level. You've got to be connected, you've got to be communicating, and you just need to be present. And a lot of what's just been spoken about around forgotten areas is about people being forgotten, not the place. And that's something we want to change.
Thank you. Paul Dadge.
When I used to be a community first responder, so I go to cardiac arrests on a response car, and one of the big things that we worked on was defibrillators. So these are the defibrillators that are out in the community, and what was great was going to parish council meetings, talking to parish councillors and explaining the benefits of a defibrillator in the community. Someone calls 999 and someone's in cardiac arrest, they can go to those defibrillators and use them. And I'm going to try and do something a bit techy and pull this over the top of me, and hopefully you can see this, because I've just checked this, because here's a really good example. So you've got like Chadsmore here, I'm hoping you can see that. You've got Chadsmore here, and that's no defibrillators in Chadsmore because there's no parish council. So it's down to the district to be working on that. You come down to Bridgetown, no defibrillators. You look over in Longford, no defibrillators. And that's just one piece of the puzzle that when you don't have parishes, it appears that they don't get the attention that they should get. And I think that's down to the district council, that's down to the councillors within those districts to be looking at what's happening within the parishes and replicating that at district level for the areas that don't have parishes. Thanks.
Thank you. It's a really interesting discussion. So I'd like to go to kind of one final question before we close, and it'd be great to hear from as many people as possible, but I know that Andrea wants to say something initially on this. And since we formed, you know, people are used to seeing traditional political parties on their ballot papers, kind of knowing which way they're going to vote. And one of the things that we constantly get feedback on is, what's this thing about being independent? And you know, we're badging tomorrow as Independence Day. Independence is really important to us. So what does it actually mean to be independent rather than the political parties that some of us used to belong to? So I'm going to ask Andrea to kick us off, but it'd be great to get as many people involved in this discussion as possible. Andrea.
Thanks. I think it probably means different things to different people, but on a kind of literal level, it means that we're not linked to any of the national political parties. And so even though we're a party or we're a group of independents, we're not. So, for example, one of the main parties, their policy would be determined by their membership all over the country. And so that doesn't relate down to what people in Cannock want. It's something that people across the whole country want, and it's difficult for national politics to fit into our particular town and our residents' needs. A political party tends to steer towards one type of belief or another type of belief, where as Cannock Chase has got people with lots and lots of different ideas and different opinions on things. And so for me as an independent, I don't have to listen to a policy that's been made up somewhere else in the country. I don't have to follow that. When I vote in the council, then I'm voting for my residents. I'm voting for what I think reflects their priorities and their needs. I don't have to vote with the rest of my group. I can vote whichever way I like. I'm not whipped, whereas if you're in a main party, in order to keep that control, that each councillor is whipped into voting a certain way, so they all have to vote together. I think if you're whipped, then there's no kind of onus on you to fully understand the issues. You don't have to look into it because you're really just following the leader the whole time. And so for me, being an independent is being a councillor that's really basing my decisions on community issues and residents' needs and priorities, and doing what I decide to do, but based on that rather than what somebody's telling me to do. So it suits me much better.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm going to go to Jodie next.
I raised my hand while Andrea was speaking. She kind of said what I'm about to say, but just to mirror what she was saying there, I feel that at a district level, being independent to me means that we can really represent the residents in our individual wards on the issues that matter locally to them over these party and national issues. So yeah, just mirroring exactly what Andrea was saying there.
That's great, thank you. Paul Dadge.
Yes.
You've got your hand up.
No, you just haven't taken my hand down.
You take your own hand down. I've got enough to do.
Oh, sorry. That's fine. Carry on. I'm pressing buttons and things.
That's fair enough.
What I will say is, nothing to do with what you're talking about, but it was loads. What's really, really good is looking. We did one of these, what we're doing today, and we did them in our very, very early days. And now we're a bit more mature. It's great to see a lot more feedback in the Facebook comments than we did in the early days, because it's just kind of us really sitting in a little bubble. And I just wanted to say, while I've got the mic, that we should do these more often, and you know, post-election, people always say, "Oh, these people only do these things at elections," and that's not us. You know, we want to be doing this stuff going forwards. Thank you.
We do. Thank you for that. I'm not sure that we're all more mature, but yes, the group is certainly. Daryl.
Yeah, just on the independence thing, I was involved with one of the major parties back early 2000s to 2010-ish, 12, something like that. And I did feel kind of controlled a bit, but there was more freedom than, say, the two bigger parties nationally. But I've kind of come back in to get involved again, because it really kind of, when I was initially talking to Paul Woodhead, it really, what he was talking about with regards to having an independent view really kind of struck me and wanted me to get more involved. And I think there's probably a lot of people out there who would want to be more involved. So it's a bit of a shout out to, you know, if you want to be more involved in the community and want to keep your independence and have an independent voice, then please, you know, talk to us over the next weeks and months, and hopefully we can do something together.
Thank you for that. So just want to move on to tomorrow, Independence Day, and just to recap for people about the actual voting process itself. So I'm going to ask Council Geek to come back, Paul Woodhead, and talk to us very briefly about what people do tomorrow, and particularly around COVID.
Okay. Yes, thank you, Emma. The polling stations are open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. There are COVID precautions around the polling stations. They're asking you to bring your own pen or pencil to mark your X in the box. There will be pens and pencils there if need be, and they will be sanitised between use. But to aid the process, people are being asked to bring their own. You need to wear masks when you're inside, maintain distancing. The staff there will also be wearing masks and potentially visors. So it will be a similar experience to you have normally, but there will be some elements of difference. It's likely there will be queues because the locations, as we know, for many of these polling stations are in schools or porta cabins and the like. So the number of people that can be inside at any one time will be limited. So there may be more queues. As I said, 10 o'clock is the finishing time, but if you are in a queue at 10 o'clock, you can still go in and cast your vote. So from a general perspective, that's where it is. They've moved a couple of the polling stations. So if you're unsure where the polling station is, if it's not where it is normally, then ring the district council and they'll be able to direct you. You will have received a polling card that will give you the address. So I'm aware of a couple in Hensford, for example, that you'd normally go to the school court, which has now moved to the Bell and Bottle pub on Mount Street. And also the Aquarius isn't a polling station this time, it's moved to the Museum of Cannock Chase. But I know there's been some other changes in Cannock and Rugeley as well, but I can't recall those off the top of my head. So be aware of where you're going. If you have symptoms of COVID, please don't go and go and vote. But what you can do is speak to the district council and get an emergency proxy, which will allow somebody to cast that vote on your behalf. That person cannot be a candidate or an agent or somebody that's working for the parties that's there. It needs to be somebody you know and trust that will cast that how you want it to be cast. Also, a number of people have registered for postal votes. They can still be sent in, but don't put them in a post because they'll arrive too late, but take them to the polling station that you would normally go to and hand it in directly, sealed, completed, sealed, and hand it in there. You're still allowed to do that, or to the district council at Beecroft Road. So, to say, polling starts at 7 AM, finishes at 10. Be patient and be safe.
Thank you. And just quickly on that, if people would prefer to visit at a time which is maybe a bit quieter, are there traditional busy times for a polling station that they might want to avoid?
Generally, it's busier, and this is going to be unusual this year as well because there's far more people working from home. So it's generally busier first thing in the morning as people go to vote on their way to work. Lunchtime gets a little busier, and then after school, after work, through till probably about 8 o'clock. So the quieter times tend to be probably 10 o'clock till noon, 2 o'clock till 4, and then 8 o'clock onwards.
Thank you. So we have consumed our time on our live event, and in fact we've run over a bit, and we haven't managed to get to all of the questions on Facebook, which is a really good thing in a way, because as Paul was saying earlier, it shows how people are engaging with us and want to ask those questions. So what we're going to commit to do is, although we're going to dial off very shortly, we are going to go through the remaining questions on Facebook and provide those answers to you on Facebook. If you haven't made up your mind about your vote yet, and there are questions that you would ask us to help you make up your mind, please do keep dropping them in. We'll keep an eye on things during the course of the evening. So it's just left for me to say thank you very much for watching us this evening. Thank you to all of our candidates for coming along the night before a very busy day tomorrow. We hope that you've enjoyed our live session. Do give us some feedback on how you feel it's gone. As Paul says, we want to do more of these in the future, and they'll be really informed by what you would like to see and what you would want us to be talking about. But have a great evening. Enjoy Independence Day tomorrow. Results will be out on Saturday, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. We're going to play you out, I think, aren't we, Paul Dadge, with some of our other videos. But otherwise, have a fantastic rest of your evening, and we'll see you really soon. Bye.
Hello, my name's Stuart Crabtree. I'm a councillor for Cannock Chase District Council. I'm with a new local party called Chase Community Independent Group. You might have heard of us. We're called Chase Indies to our friends, such as yourself. I've been asked to talk about why I wanted to be a councillor, and to be honest, it had never occurred to me to be a councillor till I got approached. I always had a preconception that councillors were people that were probably a lot more clever than I am, a lot more educated, or perhaps retired people with more time on their hands, but that's not true. It's a lot more accessible than you think. What we need is more normal people becoming councillors, normal people such as me and you who just care about our local area and want to have impacts on the decisions that affect us. So if you would like to become a councillor, please get in touch with us with these details right here, and we'll be in contact and we can see where we go from there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jodie. I'm a candidate for the Chase Community Independence Group in Heath Hayes and Wimbledon, and I'm going to tell you why you should vote in the upcoming local elections on the 6th of May. Only about a third of voters voted in the 2019 local elections, and of these, young people are the least likely to vote. When you choose not to vote, you're choosing not to have your say in your local community and telling your councillors that you don't care what they get up to. Voting is your chance to stand up for the issues that you care about. It's your opportunity to inform councillors of your needs and priorities. Voting is an opportunity for change. Young people not voting makes politicians less likely to listen and make policies that appeal to them. By voting, you can change their behaviour and force them to listen to the issues that affect you. So, why do people choose not to vote? You may think that your candidate has no chance of winning, but your vote is never wasted. Casting a vote shows that there's a demand for your candidate's policies. It highlights the issues you care about and tells the winning candidate what they need to do to win your vote next time around. You may think that your candidate will win anyway, but get the policies you and your candidate care about implemented. Every vote counts, and the margin of victory can add weight to these issues being discussed in the council chamber. You may not agree with any of the candidates or feel that nobody represents your views. Then tell the candidates what you care about right away. Challenge them, engage with them, and then choose the candidate who best represents your views, someone you can work with on the issues you care about. After all, someone's going to be elected. I chose to join the Chase Community Independence Group because we are committed to listening, engaging and acting with the community and for the community, taking national politics out of our local councils and making a real difference to the lives of everyone by bringing our community together. If you want to have your say and vote on May 6th, you must be registered to vote. You can register online anytime before the 19th of April, and if you don't want to vote in person, then you can apply for a postal vote instead. Whether it's the environment and litter or road safety and potholes, show your local council the issues that affect you by voting on May 6th. Thank you.
We've got some breaking news coming in. Just in from Norton Hall Meadow in Norton Keynes. Now, contrary to the usual practice of laying turf or bedding plants, it seems Staffordshire County Council have allowed contractors to take an unusual step of laying a traffic island with fake grass. The council have now been left with egg on their faces, with residents shocked to discover that thieves have made off with a huge chunk of AstroTurf. Now that someone has landed themselves a new patch of greenery for their garden by rolling up a large strip, council chiefs will be left wondering if their cost-cutting plan was such a good idea. So what's next for the patchy island? Residents may have to put up with the ever-decreasing greenery, while reports that the remaining grass will need to be nailed down are unconfirmed. Do you know who the green-fingered thief is? Email us on grass@chaseindependence.org.uk.
I'm here in Rawnsley. This is Paul Woodhead, reporting from one of the nature reserves in Cannock Chase. We're so lucky that we've got so much green space around us, and we can enjoy it walking, running, cycling through the area. And, oh my God, the bridge is gone! What's happened to the bridge? Oh, the council's removed it because of safety concerns. Maybe we'll get another one at the earliest possible opportunity. This is Paul Woodhead, here at Anglesey Nature Reserve. And yet another bridge is missing. But this time I've come prepared, here in my waders. Unfortunately, not everybody has waders. Just a minute, I'm hearing breaking news. Another bridge is missing. Back in a moment. This is Paul Woodhead. We're looking for the bridge reported to us in Hagley. And no, it's over here. It's over here. We've found the bridge. But it does look like it is the bridge here. So, this must be it. The bridge has clearly been repaired. That's good news and a ray of hope for all the bridges in Cannock Chase. We lament our bridges in the nature reserves, but it's great that we've got this bridge here in Hensford, paintwork that was put on a couple of years ago. All that's left for me now is to get back to the studio, and I'll do that by the train. But, I give up. Hi, I'm Paul Woodhead, and I've got the great privilege to lead the Chase Community Independence Group. We've got fantastic candidates all the way across Cannock Chase, and we'd like to hear a little bit from them now.
Hi, I'm Jodie Ashford, and I'm standing for District Council in Heathhays East and Wimbledon. I want to be a voice for our community, free to speak up without national politics getting in the way. I believe that community and council need to be able to communicate and work together to prioritise local issues. Our councillors should represent us, the Chase community.
Hello, my name's Paul Dadge and I'm the district candidate for Hawks Green and the county council candidate for Hensford and Rawnsley. When we've had issues locally, whether it be the coronavirus pandemic, potholes or issues up at the tip, you'll know that I'm there to challenge them. Please consider voting for me this Thursday.
I'm Sarah Finlay. I'm standing for the District Council in Cannock South, which includes the village of Bridgetown and also the Cannock Town Centre. If elected in May, you have my promise that Longford, Rumour Hill, Bridgetown and Cannock will cease to be treated as a poor relative. I feel our areas are slipping behind. For example, Hensford has great park facilities, a monthly farmers market and a real community feel. I want to see this replicated for the areas that I'm standing for.
I'm Emma Honeyball and I love being one of your town councillors. I really enjoy talking to neighbours and residents, understanding the things that are really important to you and then working with colleagues in the council chamber to act on those priorities for the benefit of our town. I'm standing to be your county council candidate because I want to bring the same community focus, energy and independent thinking to the county council chamber on your behalf.
I'm Andrea Layton, and since becoming a district councillor I've seen how important it is to listen to residents and reflect their views in the council. I'd love to become your county councillor for Cannock villages, and if I do, I'll be ensuring that we protect the green spaces like this one, fix our roads and get the investment we deserve.
Hello, my name is Brendan McKeown and I am standing as a Chase independent candidate in the Staffordshire County Council elections for the Trent Valley Division. If elected, I will represent the people of the area from Hopton to Brockton and from all the parishes, communities and villages in between to the best of my ability. Voting for me, Brendan McKeown, on May the 6th, and let's make a start on reclaiming and improving our local public services for the benefit of our local communities.
Hi, I'm Darryl Moore. I've lived in the Hensford North Ward for the last 20 years with my family. We love living here. Whether you live at the top, middle or bottom of the hill, I need your vote on May the 6th.
Hi, my name's Ian Pike and I'm standing as your town and district candidate for Hagley Ward because I believe it's about time an independent councillor, free from the shackle of national politics, represented our great town.
Hi, I'm Paul Woodhead, and over the last 5 years I've had the great privilege to represent the people of Hensford South. During that time, we've done lots of work together, whether that's litter picks or organising festivals, regenerating the town centre. But that's just the start. Please support me again in these coming elections. Thank you.